What's up, y'all? It's your boy Big Will, aka Iron Will. Talk about stance today, boxing, kickboxing setting mainly. I'm gonna show you guys a unique little tool that I use to kind of help build this foundation from the lower half and the upper half. Glad you're rolling with me. Let's get to it. All right, guys, we're gonna talk about stance. We'll focus on the lower half first. You see in my space, I've made a little bit of a diagram, x-axis horizontal, y-axis vertical, and we'll use mainly the y-axis for now. You see my lead foot is gonna be about 1 inch to 1.5 inches to the left of the y-axis. And my rear foot is gonna be about 1 inch, 1.5 inches to the right? About shoulder width in between my 2 feet. And then you can see here, I have this dash of tape here. That's essentially where my center of gravity is, my center mass, right? So if I'm thinking about rotating, there's a beam that I'm rotating on, and that just kind of gives me a good sense of balance, how my weight's distributed, you know, whether it's too much weight forward or too much weight to the rear, whatever that looks like, right? My hips are gonna be about 45 degrees with relation to the y-axis. Nice math there. And then this is essentially where we're gonna sit for the lower half of our stance, right? Now for kickboxing, of course, you might sit a little bit more toward your opponent. Your hips might be a little bit more toward your opponent. So maybe instead of 45, you'll be at maybe 50 or 55. But this is the general concept, right? So when we think about boxing, I know boxers like to have, or typical boxing coaches will tell you to have a more narrow stance, maybe something closer to this. This, I feel, is way too narrow. Like if you're literally straddling the y-axis, like if you're sitting in one line, that's way too narrow of a stance. I think that you're gonna have a lot more difficulty turning the right hand over. And if you do, or if you are able to turn over, it's gonna be seen, right? It's gonna be countered, it's gonna be blocked, whatever that looks like. It's too much of a distance to come way back here. It's better, and I know this seems very minute, very finicky, but at the most or at the least, maybe here, right? So you're about 1/4 inch to the left, heel can sit on the Y, or maybe even 1/4 inch off. And this is a bit better. It just feels like you're not bringing it way back here, and it's just here, right? With kickboxing, this narrow stance is obviously a no, right? Lead leg's gonna get ate up all day. Leg kicks, we've all seen it. It hurts a lot. Definitely should not sit this wide. Kickboxing, you're gonna wanna sit here, right? What you should not do is definitely not be this wide either, right? Here, you're way too exposed when you think about your core, when you think about your face, you're way too exposed here. Even if I have my hands up, you're gonna have punches coming here, strikes coming here to your face, and you're gonna be here, right? You're naturally gonna have to turn, which then why would you have your legs this wide? You're gonna naturally wanna get back in your regular stance, right? So this, I mean, if you ever find yourself in a match, in a sparring session, in a fight, whatever that looks like, and you're here, reposition quickly before you get hit with a shot you don't want, right? Couple other things to consider with the lower half. This is way too wide, way too much space between my feet here. Now I can understand maybe if you're here and you want to be able to burst in and out. Sometimes, you know, fighters will sit a little bit lower if they want to burst inside, especially boxers, right? Even kickboxing, this could be a little risky, but this is obviously, you know, unless you're like, you know, some sort of Bruce Lee Kung Fu master, this isn't gonna work. This is way too wide. Not necessary. Obviously, we don't want to stand straight up. This isn't gonna do anything for us, right? No explosion here. You're standing way too tall. And there's a certain thing when you think about how tall you're standing, right? Bending these knees, kind of crunching your back, putting your elbows into it, right? The more space that you can eliminate between your hip and your elbow, the better, right? If you're standing way too tall, there's a lot of space here. I can catch a kick coming up under my elbow. I can catch a body shot coming up this way. But if I'm sitting here and I'm able to slightly crunch on either direction, I can eliminate this space and I won't have as much vulnerability, and I can quickly raise my hand if I see that the shot's actually coming hot, right? So that actually brings me to talk about the upper half. So when we want to be in our proper stance, we're gonna have our elbows to our sides. We're gonna have our chin tucked. We're gonna have our our rear hand a little bit closer to our face. Lead hand's gonna sit out in front a little bit. And we really just wanna make sure our hands are up and our eyes are forward, right? So even if I'm sitting in southpaw, same concept, right? Same concept. Now, a couple things that we can think about with this stance. You know, fighters don't always kind of sit in the proper stance, right? They don't always sit with the boxing one-on-one stance. You know, you can maybe sit a little here, a little more comfortable, relax the shoulders a little bit. But the hands are basically in the same position, right? If I ever needed to, I can raise them up in a heartbeat, right? If I'm sitting here, if I can raise them up, no problem, right? Even if I'm really low and if I want to be a little slick, right? My hands are basically still in the same position where the lead hand sits out front, rear hand sits in kind of like more tucked closer to the face, still raise them up. Obviously, this is much more risky, right? I could definitely eat a shot. I could definitely eat a lot of stuff. So we don't want to be maybe too relaxed with where our hands are sitting, but we definitely want to, you know, the more comfortable we get, you can kind of relax a little bit. You don't want to be here. I think if you have both hands down, you're maybe just asking for trouble. We've all seen the clips where fighters have their hands down and they get cracked and it looks bad. Sometimes they get knocked out. It ends their career or it makes their career take a turn for the worse. We don't want that, right? So if you want to get away from that sort of showboating style, that's okay, right? My typical stance, I'll probably sit somewhere like right here, right? So my hands are a little closer to my face. They're not way up here, but they're not like way down here either, right? And that's just my own style that I've developed over the years. I use that for both boxing and kickboxing. Most coaches always tell me to raise my hands. You know, if you're ready for it, you're ready for it. So, but I would encourage you to start here. As you get more comfortable, as you begin to learn sort of how your body works, how you throw these strikes, then make it a little more relaxed. Things you don't want to do, obviously you don't want to flare your elbows out like this. I mean, we've all seen the street fights. Not going to be good. You're going to take shots all on the body. You really can't even protect your face this way. Not a good way to fight. Also, with relation to Muay Thai, you might see the hands a little bit higher, elbows a little bit higher. Really put your arms in great position for elbows. I have mixed feelings about it because your core is still exposed, and Thai fighters typically also do stand a little bit more taller, right? So they can be ready for teeps or checks or what have you. Again, that's how Thai works in its most authentic tradition. Over the years, fighters have taken that and have molded it into their own style. I encourage you to do the same. If you like that style, by all means, go for it. So, but that's really it. That's all I really wanted to show. There's a couple other stances that you can play with. The peekaboo style, everybody likes, you know, Mike Tyson, being able to kind of rotate your body and get in on the inside. Short strikes, right? Quick angles, and that's good. That's a good style for infighting, for close fighting. Not really the greatest for standing on the outside. So again, depending on the situation, the scenario within the sparring session, the match, whatever you're going through, you're gonna have to pick the stance that works best. Stances where you're here, typically better for mid to outside fighting, right? Where you can pop that jab, you can stand, you can move on the outside, and what have you. That's really it, guys. I know there's a lot of information, a little bit jumbled around. Hope you got something from that. IronWillAthletics.la, more information over there. Hope you like this video. Like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you guys later. I'm in LA, hit me up, we'll chat, we'll spar. See you guys later.